first and second movement are quite connected musically. They're both on the A clarinet, and you change for the third piece. And I think the first one is almost a preview to what happens in the second one. So I think of them as fairly connected, though almost a taka from one to the next. It has these two different voices, which I thought you, for the most part, showed us very well. And I think of it as two voices on the different sides of a valley or a canyon or something, sort of speaking to each other. And the other one. Why are you smiling? Does that make sense?
I've heard it before.
And then you have the same thing in the next one. That's the thing that I want to bring up. You have to find the same thing. So in the middle of the next one, you have different voice. So I think you could bring that out a bit more, especially here because this is pianissimo, this is mezzo piano. But before we go there, this piece is played so many times in so many different ways. And it has some room for individual interpretation, as every piece of music always does. But Stravinsky was known to be very adamant about following the marks in his pages exceedingly well. He used to berate orchestras if they did not play exactly what the score said. And the one thing I find that some people do, which I appreciate that you did not do, and that is to take way too much freedom with this, as far as changing tempi a lot, or not following the rhythm exactly, or not playing the dynamics that are on the page. And really, if you do what he says, if you follow the instructions really accurately, it makes much more sense. Now, Thanks. So I would like to work on two things with you, and then we'll apply them to this piece. One is I would like to do embouchure with you, and I'm going to ask you to make some embouchure changes in front of all of these people.
Okay.
And I know that that's a little bit of a tricky thing to do, and it may squeak or it may sound horrible, but we don't care, correct? You know, I really want you to try it anyway, because I think you're struggling against some embouchure issues, and that'll make this better, and it'll make you play easier, and you'll be much happier, and everything will be worth it in the long run. Embouchure changes aren't something that I could do like this.
Yeah.
So this is to teach you what to work on, and then you go home and do it step by step by step by step and try to get it to work. The other thing I want to work on is airflow, because your airflow is kind of bumpy. And if there's one thing that has to happen in this movement of this piece, it's legato. Legato comes from the way you use your fingers, which I'm not going to talk about so much, but it also comes with your air being very smooth and constant on the reed, instead of bursting out and stopping and bursting out and stopping. And I may actually start with the air thing first, but not here, just like playing a C major scale. So I think when you breathe, you need to be either sitting or standing in a comfortable position, not too closed in or anything like that, just so you're normal, your body's normal. You don't want to let any of the muscles around the bottom, particularly of your rib cage or in your chest or in the back or under your arms, any of these complicated sets of muscles, to bind the breathing down and hold it tight, like you've got elastic around you. You want that all to be relaxed so that you can inhale as much as possible and expand. And then just let it come out in a directed stream, but other than that, just let it go. Like you're deflating. When you exhale, I think the tongue, the basic tongue position in your mouth should be what we all call high. And everybody knows that, but I think one of the things they don't realize is that when the tongue is high or relaxed, when it's relaxed, it already is high. If you think about that, where your tongue is right now, it's not being pushed down to the bottom of your mouth, is it? It's probably floating up there sort of somewhere by your upper molars. And the tip is probably somewhat free behind your upper teeth. Yeah? Most people are like that. So that's right where your tongue needs to be. It's already there. If we get over concerned about high tongue position, when what we really should be concerned about is relaxing the tongue and not pushing it down. And I think sometimes when you play, you push it down, as if the doctor wanted to see your throat because you had a sore throat. You're going, oh, don't play like that. Nobody should ever play like that, in my very strong opinion. And I get some pushback on that, but I'm sure that you don't get your best tone that way. So you want to leave your tongue relaxed, and then you want to just blow it out like you're saying, shh. Yeah, I would be too. You picked a hard piece, but it doesn't have to go so fast.
Okay.
It should sound light and airy. So if you start sounding like you're then it is the wrong character. And I just want to move this out of your way so that you don't have to worry. Have a little more lighthearted enjoyment of it.
Okay.
Now, every time I play anything, I get nervous. And all of my colleagues, you know, on one degree or another, if it's a big orchestra and you're just in the midst of all it, maybe not, but always when you're on the spot, nerves are involved. And I don't know how to handle them. Actually, people ask me all the time, how do I solve that problem? I'm like, I don't know. I'm still working on that. But one thing I do know is if you can try to avoid the physical symptoms that come along with nerves and keep them under your control, it helps, because then you start feeling more comfortable when you play and you don't start rushing and everything falls into place. Those things mean your heart's going to start beating fast and you're going to tense up your breathing and you're going to take shallow breaths and you're going to be doing the flight response thing like, why did I get myself in this today? I'd much rather be reading my book in the backyard. But just calm your breathing, calm your body, relax your shoulders and the area in your back between your shoulder blades. I always say, you have muscles under your arms. When we're tense, we tend to squeeze them in too much. Relax that. Take a nice, beautiful, little big breath. And no faster than that.
Okay.
And then, really try not to rush, because rushing is like rolling, you're running downhill and your feet start to get behind your body and pretty soon you're crashing. It will sound so much more controlled, because I could tell you prepared this. And the ties, di-ya-da-da-da. Don't rush off the dice.
Okay.
One more time. Take way more air in, and then I really will stop and let you play.
Okay.
Take a lot of air in. Lovely day in Paris. You're in no rush. talk with you about one particular aspect of embouchure that I mentioned briefly, but that I want to talk about a little more.
All right.
That I think will help, and then we're going to put it back in here. So I mentioned the jaw and having it move forward. I think the main hold on the mouthpiece needs to be between the hands going to the top teeth, so you get leverage up to the top teeth, and the jaw moving this direction toward the reed rather than up like this.
All right.
Moving up is the thing that we worry about when we say we're going to bite. Moving forward tends to open up the sound a little bit, but in a positive sense. It makes it nice and resonant. It also allows you to keep your chin muscle down. Many of the things that I talked about with other people earlier, I want to say to you, but I don't want to get too redundant.
Okay.
But you need to work on getting the lip in, the chin down, top lip working, so that you get your best tone all the time. But the main thing for you, and I think the thing that might adjust all of that, is you're playing a little bit direct. We can't tell because you're kind of like this. But if I were to raise your head, you know, it would be pretty straight. And the jaw's not going this way, and it's causing you to get a little undertone a lot of times. An undertone is that thing that's sounds like bad tonguing, but it's actually not enough hold of the jaw forward on the reed, either when you're slurring or only when you're tonguing. Sometimes people just do it when they're tonguing. Do you hear that sometimes when you're articulating? Yeah, so that's what I think it is, that the jaw is not set forward. Now, if I want to find the right position with my jaw, first of all, I can play a high, I think a good note, depends on how old you are, but you could play a high D. You know, for younger people, have you ever, are any of you teachers of young people at all? You know, they go like, and it's because the jaw is not going this way. The jaw position will solve that totally. And that's really important for band directors to know, especially because, not that I don't know if you are or not, but because they tend to say, if they hear that, say, get harder reeds, get harder reeds, get harder reeds, and that just causes biting. It's really the jaw position. a lot of ways. So the concerto, the Mozart concerto, which is probably our biggest piece of all, we have no original score for. There's a lot of crazy things in the parts. They all, long story, but they got transcribed from well-used parts, and there's many things that are up to the performer. And so I am only going to say this as a matter of opinion. To me, one thing about Mozart is he was very logical. In fact, the reason they discovered that there's so many mistakes in this piece is because they were illogical for Mozart. And everything is, really correct this way, really correct this way. So in these arpeggios, just to start at the back end for a minute, I don't really think there's a right or wrong way to do it, but I would do it consistently. So if you're going to do this down octave D, or da 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 da, which is actually the way I like it, I would do this one down and this one down. If you're not going to do them all that way, do them all the other way. So don't bring this one down and then put these two up. Do them as a sequence of three in the same manner. You all know this is really written, actually discovered for the Bassett clarinet, which is an A clarinet that goes down to low C. So it's about this much longer. And it sounds a little bit different. Provides some notes that should be in here that most of us can't play. So we're talking about how octave transpositions should work. That's what we're talking about. But let's go back to the beginning. I mean, my main comment for you, I thought it was beautifully played. It's hard to not sound like you're always doing one dynamic in this piece and one style in the piece. So you have to find ways to sometimes be softer, more dolce and more gentle, sometimes to be more interesting and rhythmic and exciting. And that's what I would add to the piece. Also, be careful that you don't do a kind of whole embouchure that's actually over round, because it makes it sound a little bit oh. And it also, the airstream is too big, and sometimes that's what makes you run out of air. And I noticed that was a problem. Sometimes you just exhausted your supply. So I think if you narrow the airstream like we've been talking about, you'll have more ability to go through longer phrases. So we'll talk about that as it goes along.